Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Livewire's Outlook series for 2025. I'm joined by Rachel Folder from Pendal, and we're going to be hearing about some of her ideas on where the best opportunities lie in the Australian market. So Rachel, thanks very much for coming in, and great to have you back on Livewire.
Thanks for having me, James.
Alrighty, before we get into a few stock ideas, 2024, a bit of a bumpy year in markets. What did you make of it?
Oh, look, I think it all culminated with what's happened in the last couple of weeks. We've seen a lot of risk come back into the market. We've had a change in the government in the US, which has spurred a bit of change in sentiment as well. I think at this point, everything's looking quite strong.
For people that aren't familiar with Pendal and particularly the team that you work in, tell us a bit about your area of interest, where you specialise, the part of the market you focus on.
Sure. So I'm a small cap equities analyst and I work with the small cap team at Pendal Group. So we have a smalls and micros fund. There's 5 of us in the team, 2 portfolio managers and 3 analysts. We're out there looking for ideas constantly.
And what's unique or different about the way the team thinks about markets and approaches investing?
I think we definitely have a bit of a quality bias. We're not value, we're not growth, but I think quality is probably one of the things that we do look for in our investments. We work together very collaboratively. So I think whenever we're pitching a fund, pitching an idea to the fund, it goes through an iterative process with the whole team, and we're all providing feedback with each other. So we often work together quite collegially.
Yeah. And what about you? What do you love about investing?
What I love about investing is that it's different every day, and the feedback loop that it provides. You could have a view on something and you could be wrong, you could be right, but just going through that kind of process of discovery and getting excited about something and then finding out if you're right or wrong, I think those moments are really rewarding.
Yeah, bit of a challenge, bit of a mental game.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's get into a couple of ideas. We're going to start off with growth. What's a company you think can deliver stellar growth in 2025?
So Zip would be my pick for growth in 2025.
Off the back of a big year.
I know, it's done incredibly well already, but I think they're just getting started. And I think one way to look at it is how the business has pivoted over the last 12 to 18 months. They've had a new CEO who's come in, Cynthia Scott. She's done an amazing job refocusing the business and exiting non-profitable parts and growing in their core markets. So now as they refocus into partnerships, marketing, they should put themselves in a really good position to grow customers. And it's really interesting. They've had an amazing growth year, as you say, but they haven't grown customers over this time. So I think that's still yet to come through.
So it's just a bit of a re-rate coming through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we still see the outlook for the US consumers being pretty strong. And buy now, pay later penetration is still only 2% of the market. So there's a long way of adoption left to go.
Talking about breakout sectors, breakout industries, 2024, year of AI, data centres. Is there an industry or a part of the market that you think can have a breakout year in 2025? And is there a stock that you think gives access to that opportunity?
So breakout year, I'm almost thinking of this as like breakout years. So I'm going with the energy transition thematic. This is a huge thematic that spans not just one industry, but it goes right through resources to construction and even software. So within that software space, I think Gentrack is a really good way to play this. They're building software for utilities companies. And particularly energy providers, right? So they're going through this transition where the grid is becoming more and more decentralised. You've got renewables that are coming in and replacing traditional generation, and old software and software that's been in the market for a long time is not well equipped enough to be able to deal with this increasing complexity and billing requirements. So I think Gentrack is really well placed to take advantage of this really big shift that's occurring. So they've got software which positions them really well in the market. The stock has doubled over the last 12 months, so it's performed extremely well. Yeah. But I still think there's way more to go with this story. Just looking at the markets that they're currently just starting in. So, for example, in Asian markets, they're just starting out there. And really, this thematic is global. And as energy retailers transition and markets transition through smart meters over time, that's a big area that they can jump on the back of.
Let's go from something that's been running hot to something that's been overlooked and unloved. Is there a contrarian idea you've got for 2025? Yes,
there is. You're probably going to laugh when I say that it's ARB, because ARB has been, historically very well regarded. It's a high quality business. But it's really interesting. In the last couple of months, it's actually underperformed the market, shall I say, quite a fair bit. It's down 16% in the last couple of months. Short interest has been rising in the stock. And we've seen 4x4 new vehicle sales decline a fair bit since the start of the financial year. So I think markets are actually quite worried about how their first half will look from the top line perspective and potentially a margin perspective. But I think with this stock, you don't want to get too caught up in the near term. Where I stand differently on this one is that I think they tend to be genuinely good performers. People are really missing that while the Australian market might be seeing a little bit of weakness right now in the short term, there's a huge story going on in the US, where just this last year they've made some pretty strategic investments in channels to market so they can increase their sales over there. They've invested in new management who are doing a great job. They're investing in R&D facilities over there so they can kind of generate product just for that market. I think they've been great allocators of capital over time. So while it's a little bit soft at the moment, I think it should come good through 25.
We've talked about a couple of stocks that you do like. What about something to avoid? Is there a stock that you wouldn't be touching as we go into 2025, something you're steering clear of?
Yeah, I think it's not just for 2025, but even more broadly, like the way we look at stocks to invest in, we don't want to take too much risk in backing things that are too early and unproven. And I think BrainChip's probably one that fits into this category. It's a business that has a $450 million market cap, but no revenue. They haven't quite yet won a customer contract. You kind of need to see runs on the board and you need to see some valuation support. At the same time, it's a business that does hardware and software that's related to AI. I find it quite difficult to understand, so I think you're better off investing in things that you can kind of wrap your head around.
It's a contentious name, that one.
Yeah.
If you could only own one stock for 2025, what would it be and why?
I wouldn't recommend owning just one stock. We don't want to take that much risk in our portfolios. We like to have many ideas. And for holding it for the whole year, we always like to update our views as we get new information. But I think this question really leans into, what is the kind of highest quality name that you've got at the moment that you can really back and feel comfortable with holding through the whole year. So Supply Networks, or SNL, is probably my pick for this question. Just given they've got a really backable management team, they're super aligned with shareholders, owning more than 40% of the shares on issue. They've done an incredible job growing the business. Their NPAT has tripled in the last 4 years, and their return on capital metrics are above 40%. They're an aftermarket provider of automotive parts for the truck industry. They're a distributor. And I think when you look at just the quality of this business and how they've been able to grow and allocate capital in a way that's really sustainable, that would probably be my pick.
Hard to believe trucking parts can provide such incredible returns.
That's right.
Final question. We said 2024 has been a pretty good year. 2025, how are you feeling? You bullish, bearish, neutral? What's the mood?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about the market. It's never a straight line. It's never linear in the path to how we get there. But I think in Australia we've had a little bit of weakness, and I think if we're sitting here next year and things are looking even better, then I'd be happy with that.
Rachel, thank you so much for being part of our Outlook series for 2025.
Thanks so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that chat with Rachel Folder from Pendal. Remember, all our Outlook series content is on our YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out.